Each year, the UN General Assembly elects 5 rotating members to the UN Security Council. Joining us now to give us an update on this year's vote is VOA UN correspondent Margaret Besheer. Margaret, among the 5 council members whose 2-year terms are up are the African nations of Nigeria and Gabon. And we know in are Togo and Morocco. Tell us about how the vote went.
Well, we had a long day of voting on Friday, Vincent. It went for 9 rounds and 9 hours, and we're still not done. But for the 2 seats that you mentioned, Morocco won on the first round, and they had the best tally of any country on Friday. They won with 151 votes. They only needed 129 to get a 2/3 majority. There's 193 members now in the General Assembly because we added South Sudan. It's their first time voting in the GA for Security Council members. So Morocco got in right away. The 3 countries were up against each other. And then in the next round, it was Mauritania and Togo. And it took a couple rounds, and Togo finally pulled ahead and just squeaked by, I think, with 131 votes, and they needed the 129. So they just barely made it in, or we wouldn't have had a sub-Saharan African country on the council this coming
That was
I mean, we would have had South Africa, but in the new group.
Yes. Anyway, for many viewers, they are curious. What's the difference between these temporary members and the permanent members of the Security Council?
Sure. Well, you have the five permanents, U.S., Russia, China, France, and Britain. They're the ones who have the power of the veto, so they can slap down a resolution by raising their hand. That's the main thing, and they're always on the council. And that happened after World War II and with the shift in balance of power in the world. So those 5 became permanent. The other 10 basically give voice to the rest of the world. They're regionally divided up. Each part of the world is given a seat each year, so you have 2 seats. For instance, they are powerful. I mean, when they do have a say. For instance, right now we have South Africa, India, and Brazil on the council. They're known as IBSA, the group, and they have been exercising their muscle quite a bit, and they have objected strenuously to several resolutions. They helped to block a resolution on Syria previously. Brazil voted against sanctions on Iran last year. So they do have power, even though they don't have veto.
And we know that we're going to have one more elected this week to the temporary status.
Right. Well, the voting continues today. We have the Eastern European seat, which seems to be causing some problems. There's no consensus on who should take it. Originally, it was 3 candidates for the 1 seat: Hungary, Slovenia, and Azerbaijan. Okay. Hungary was knocked out in the first round of voting, and it's now between Azerbaijan and Slovenia.
Okay. Margaret, thanks a lot for that UN Security Council update. And that is VOA UN correspondent Margaret Besheer joining us from New York.